was promised around a year ago has actually turned up. It's 50 Cent's Diddy documentary. It's 4 parts, 4 hours long, and it's a walk through Diddy.
Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose.
The you of then was on a path of self-destruction.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I would have, for sure, 100%. Yeah, it would have been no bueno. It was bad. I don't know if I'd be alive for sure. It was dark.
50 Cent.
What if I told you that everything you saw in 50 Cent's Diddy documentary on Netflix is only half the story? What if I told you there are shocking secrets that Netflix chose not to reveal? Stories that could completely flip the script on everything we thought we knew about Diddy's empire. From explosive legal battles to hidden truths about the stars that shaped the bad boy legacy, this is the side of the story that Netflix didn't dare touch. Stick with us as we dive into the untold truths that could change the way you see one of the most powerful moguls in hip-hop history. The world was buzzing with the release of 50 Cent's latest documentary, Diddy, The Making of a Bad Boy. Dropped in early December 2025 on Netflix, it hit the streaming platform with an explosive force. The footage was raw, the claims were intense, and with Diddy sitting in a Brooklyn jail cell awaiting trial, the timing felt almost surreal. But here's the twist. Netflix didn't reveal everything. Some stories were far too tangled, some witnesses were just too risky, and new allegations started flooding the internet the moment the documentary went live. Today, we're diving into the unseen moments Netflix decided to leave out, the ones that raised questions too scorching for them to handle. Let's rewind the clock to March 9th, 1997, Los Angeles. Biggie Smalls had made the journey from the streets of Brooklyn to rap royalty, but LA was still reeling from Tupac's murder just 6 months earlier. The air was thick with tension. Rumors spread fast, threats filled the atmosphere, and anyone in the hip-hop world knew LA wasn't safe. Biggie, undeterred by the tension, came to town to promote Life After Death, his second album. Interviews, parties, and public appearances filled his schedule. The city was on edge, but Biggie showed up at a Vibe magazine party at the Peterson Automotive Museum. Whether it was pride or business, he wasn't backing down. But soon after, it happened. On his way back to the hotel, Biggie's SUV was ambushed at the corner of Wilshire and South Fairfax. 4 shots rang out, 1 fatal hit. Biggie was gone before anyone could even process the shock. Another legend lost, another chapter in the East Coast versus West Coast feud written in pain. But there's a part of the story Netflix didn't touch, a side story from that same night involving Mace. While Biggie's death dominated headlines, Mace was reportedly holed up in a hotel room, surrounded by nearly 70 people tied to a major crew.
Cent has been working on this documentary for almost 2 years. The footage he has is insane. The people he got speaking about Diddy is But here's the twist.
What happened that night still has fans asking questions. No exaggeration, Mace was trapped and scared. Some whispered that he might have been a secondary target. Why? Because Mace supposedly had proof, private information about how things really worked behind the scenes at Bad Boy. Things nobody wanted to go public. Mace couldn't just walk away, couldn't reach out for help, and no one from the crew bothered to check on him. It was pure chaos, with everyone fending for themselves. Finally, former Bad Boy security guard Gene Deal had to navigate the madness and get Mace out safely. It was a wild, unpredictable night, but it left a permanent mark on Mace. He realized that loyalty in that world could vanish in an instant. The people he thought had his back were nowhere to be found. That truth hit him deep. Years later, May spoke out about that night in LA, what he saw, the backstage tension, the hidden stories, and the secrets that could have torn the whole crew apart. He hinted at truths that Netflix didn't dare touch, stories about power, fear, and loyalty within the bad boy world, things that could have flipped the narrative of the documentary. Still think you know the full story? Think you've heard everything Netflix had to offer? Well, think again. The next twist is bigger, bolder, and wilder than you could ever imagine. What Netflix left out could redefine the legacy of two of hip-hop's biggest names, Diddy and Jay-Z. You won't believe how the story flips from what you saw to what really happened. Stick around, this is only the beginning. But if you thought that was shocking, just wait. A day after the documentary aired, something major hit the headlines. A new legal filing that sent shockwaves through the hip-hop world. A woman, identified in court only as Jane Doe, updated her ongoing lawsuit against Diddy. And this time, she added another major name to the list, Sean Jay-Z Carter. The filing claimed that both Diddy and Jay-Z were connected to serious misconduct allegations dating back to an after-party following the 2000 MTV Video Music Awards. The woman accused both of sexual assault when she was just 13 years old. When this news broke, the internet exploded. Fans, media, and even other artists were stunned. Could this case change everything people thought they knew about the two giants of hip-hop? And the timing was wild. The documentary dropped just one day before this lawsuit went public. If it had happened just a week earlier, it could have shifted the entire story Netflix told. Jay-Z responded swiftly, calling the allegations ridiculous. He dismissed the lawsuit as a stunt by an attention-seeking lawyer, but the timing raised serious questions. Diddy has always referred to Jay-Z as his brother, their bond so deep it's hard to ignore. The case instantly rewrote the narrative. If you just finished watching Netflix's documentary, you had no idea that the real-life drama had shifted overnight.
Did they talk about the man who nutted on his nipples?
I didn't hear the nut on the nipples.
50 was not about to put
They
that
did not talk about the nut on nipples, but they do have jurors in there that
He
talk
should have
about.
put that after the sanitizer.
So the question now, how much of the truth, the behind-the-scenes chaos and risky details ever made it onto the screen? Netflix clearly decided to play it safe. And the irony? This story never made it to the final cut, even though it would have turned the documentary on its head. But this wasn't the only part of Diddy's story Netflix chose to skip. Another major name tied to his empire was also quietly left out, Kim Porter. Her story was central to Bad Boy's legacy, yet her role was ignored by the documentary, despite her connection to Diddy's rise. Kim Porter wasn't just Diddy's ex, she was the mother of his children, standing by his side through decades of fame, power, and pressure. She witnessed the highs and lows, the business dealings, the parties, and the polished public image. But in the weeks leading up to her death, many began to question why Netflix kept silent about her story. Kim died unexpectedly on November 15th, 2018. Pneumonia was listed as the official cause, but her final days raised more than a few eyebrows. Just weeks before her death, she had attended a Hollywood premiere with Diddy, despite running a high fever and showing flu-like symptoms. Reports say she wasn't feeling well, yet she still showed up for the sake of appearances. Behind the scenes, whispers spread that Kim had been considering writing a book, possibly a tell-all about her life in the music industry. Some believed it might include stories Diddy wouldn't want made public. Their relationship had always been complicated. They met in 1994, had a child in 1998, split when Diddy started dating Jennifer Lopez, then reconciled and had twins in 2003. But despite the roller coaster, Kim remained a constant in Diddy's life. Yet when she passed, many were left questioning why Netflix chose not to mention her. Could it be that her story was just too revealing? Kim wasn't the only figure missing from Netflix's documentary. Another key player, Gene Deal, Diddy's former bodyguard, also didn't make the cut. Gene was a crucial part of Diddy's empire, yet his side of the story was erased. He has spoken out for years about the hidden truths surrounding Diddy, secrets that paint a far more complex picture than what the public saw. Gene witnessed the business, the drama, the betrayals, and the loyalty that came with being part of Diddy's inner circle. Yet when it came time to tell the story, Netflix skipped over Gene's truth. His tales about hidden tunnels, strange rituals, and mysterious behind-the-scenes drama never made it to the screen, even though millions of people have heard them online. Gene has shared these stories for years, detailing a time when Diddy was under massive pressure. In one particularly strange tale, he describes a ritual in Central Park before Diddy's nightclub trial. Diddy, in a moment of stress, sought spiritual guidance to stay strong. Gene recalls how Diddy got down on his knees while a man burned something that looked like sage, performing a ritual to bring him protection.
This morning in Los Angeles, the 24-year-old rapper whose real name is Christopher Wallace lived in Raleigh in the 1980s.
They're looking for a man they say could. Both communities are mourning the death of the rapper known as Notorious B.I.G.
Gene has been open about what he saw, but Netflix didn't include it, probably because such claims are nearly impossible to verify. But it adds to the mystery, the things behind the curtain that no one wants to talk about. The final missing chapter from Netflix's documentary involved Justin Bieber. In 2009, when Bieber was just 15, Diddy uploaded a video on his official YouTube channel called Justin Bieber 48 Hours with Diddy. What seemed like a fun, harmless video quickly became the subject of controversy. Diddy joked about taking care of Bieber for 48 hours, but then said something that raised eyebrows. Where we're hanging out and what we're doing, we can't really disclose, he said, leaving fans wondering what happened during those 48 hours. The video left many uncomfortable, and it was never mentioned in the documentary. Why? Was it too risky? Or did Netflix simply not want to delve into the mystery behind those 48 hours? Justin later addressed the situation, distancing himself from any accusations. But his statement raised even more questions. What exactly happened during that time? Why couldn't Diddy disclose what they were doing? This wasn't just a normal mental moment. The secrecy surrounding it speaks volumes, but Netflix didn't touch it. Instead, they left it as one more unanswered question in the bigger story of Diddy's empire. Another missing chapter was Usher's time with Diddy in the early 90s. At just 13, Usher was sent to live with Diddy for what Diddy called Puffy Flavor Camp. The idea was for Diddy to mentor the young singer, but looking back, it raises questions about the environment Usher was placed in. No parents, no real boundaries, just a fast-paced music lifestyle. Usher himself has spoken about how wild that year was, witnessing things he wasn't ready for. Parties, celebrities, and an adult world he wasn't prepared to navigate. It wasn't mentorship, it was chaos. But Netflix only briefly mentioned it. A missed opportunity to dive deeper into a pivotal moment in Usher's life and Diddy's early years. When you step back and consider the bigger picture, you see a pattern. From Usher to Justin Bieber, these young stars were pulled into a world they were barely prepared for. The fact that Netflix didn't address this speaks volumes. The true story of Diddy's empire is far more complex than what we saw on screen. As we continue, let's reflect on the bigger picture. The stories behind the public personas we idolize are often far more complex than the glossy images presented to us. Netflix's documentary barely scratched the surface, leaving out key figures and crucial moments that could have completely reshaped how we viewed Diddy, Bad Boy Records, and the entire music empire.
Trapped in a hotel. It was about probably like 70 or so bloods in the hallway. I couldn't even leave my room.
Take Usher, for example. His time with Diddy at just 13 years old is one of the most shocking chapters. It wasn't just a mentorship program, it was a crash course in the music industry at a young age. Usher has since called that year wild and crazy, describing the chaos that surrounded him. Late nights, celebrity parties, and an adult world he wasn't prepared for. It was a year that shaped him into the man and artist he is today, but it also exposed him to a world most kids could never imagine. Yet Netflix brushed over this pivotal time in Usher's life. Why? Was it too uncomfortable to show the darker side of Diddy's influence on these young stars? Was it simply too complicated to fit into the narrative they wanted to sell? It's not just Usher who felt the weight of that world. Look at Justin Bieber. That infamous video from 2009, Justin Bieber, 48 Hours with Diddy, is still circulating, but Netflix chose to leave it out. In the video, Diddy speaks cryptically about what they were doing together, adding, "Where we're hanging out and what we're doing, we can't really disclose." This line alone raised eyebrows. Why the secrecy? What was going on behind closed doors? Bieber's representative later clarified that he wasn't involved in anything inappropriate. But that doesn't fully explain the mysterious circumstances of those 48 hours. Why was Diddy so secretive about it? And why hasn't this part of the story been fully explored? These omissions tell us something important. They show us how much of the true story of Diddy's empire remains hidden in the shadows. From Usher's experience to the mystery of those 48 hours with Justin Bieber, these stories shape the narrative in ways that Netflix didn't dare touch. Now let's talk about the power dynamics. Diddy, for all his success and influence, was also a figure who thrived on control. The people around him often found themselves caught in a whirlwind of loyalty, fear, and ambition. And yet, when it came time to reveal the full picture, Netflix chose to focus on the more polished, marketable aspects of Diddy's empire, ignoring the murkier details. The most glaring example of this is Kim Porter. Kim wasn't just Diddy's ex-wife, she was a foundational part of his life. The mother of his children, a partner who stood by him through thick and thin, and someone who had witnessed the highs and lows of the bad boy empire. Her story, however, was left out of the documentary completely. Why? Kim's untimely death in 2018 raised questions about her final days. Reports say she had been sick, yet she still showed up for a Hollywood premiere with Diddy just weeks before her passing. Was there something more to her illness than the official cause, pneumonia, suggested? Some speculate that Kim had been planning a tell-all book, one that might have exposed things Diddy didn't want to be made public.
When Puff had got on a plane and left Mace, we went and got him and let him do some black hands. We went and got Mace. Mace came down, went to his car, and he got up.
Her death raised more questions than answers. Her love for her children, her last moments with Diddy, and the complex nature of their relationship are all pieces of the puzzle that Netflix chose to leave out. Could these unanswered questions have shed new light on Diddy's legacy? We'll never know, because the documentary didn't venture into those dark corners. And then there's Gian Deal. Gene was Diddy's bodyguard during the height of Bad Boy's success. He saw it all, the loyalty, the betrayals, the power struggles. Gene's stories paint a much more complicated picture than the one Netflix chose to present. He's spoken out about the secrets he witnessed, the tense moments, and the shady business deals that went on behind the scenes. Gene has talked about strange rituals, hidden meetings, and moments that are hard to explain. One of his most famous stories involves a ritual he claims Diddy participated in before an important trial in 1999. Diddy supposedly sought spiritual guidance, performing a ceremony that involved burning sage and using a white bird to bring protection before facing court. But Netflix didn't include any of this. Why? Because these stories are difficult to verify, they're controversial and impossible to fact-check, but they're also part of the larger narrative, part of the mystery surrounding Diddy's empire. They add layers to the story that were left untouched by Netflix's polished production. The truth about Diddy's rise to fame isn't just what we saw on screen, it's the stories they didn't dare tell, the stories about power, fear, loyalty, and betrayal. These are the parts of the story that the mainstream world has been trying to ignore for years, but now, with the rise of social media and alternative platforms, the truth is starting to leak out. Let's talk about the legal battles. A new lawsuit filed in December 2024 added a major twist to the narrative. A woman, referred to only as Jane Doe, filed an updated lawsuit against Diddy and Jay-Z. The case claims both men were involved in a sexual assault incident at the 2000 Hours MTV Video Music Awards afterparty. The case sent shockwaves through the hip-hop world, leaving fans wondering if this was the beginning of the end for two of the biggest names in the industry. The timing of this lawsuit, coming just a day after the release of the Netflix documentary, raised questions. Could the documentary have painted a different picture if this news had come out sooner? Jay-Z was quick to dismiss the claims, calling them ridiculous. But Diddy's ties to Jay-Z are deeper than just business. These two men share a brotherhood forged in the music industry. The allegations cast a long shadow over their relationship, and the timing made the entire situation even more explosive.
Men who accused the two hip-hop artists of sexual assault when she was 13. Jay-Z denying any wrongdoing, Jay-Z calling the allegations frivolous, fictitious, and appalling.
Yet Netflix chose to leave this chapter out. Why? Was it because the case was still unfolding, or did they simply not want to take on such a controversial story? Either way, the omission speaks volumes about the limits of what Netflix is willing to expose about the darker sides of fame and power. As we continue peeling back the layers of Diddy's world, it becomes clear that the truth is far more complicated than we've been led to believe. The documentary only scratched the surface, leaving out key figures, pivotal moments, and explosive stories that could have changed how we view the bad boy empire. But that's the nature of power. It thrives in the shadows, shaping the narrative behind closed doors. And as long as people like Gene Deal, Kim Porter, and others continue to speak out, the truth will keep slipping through the cracks. One piece at a time. You've just scratched the surface of the truth.
Yeah, that would have for sure.
There's so much more we're uncovering here.
It would have been
hidden stories, shocking twists, and untold secrets from Diddy's empire that Netflix didn't dare touch. Now it's your turn. Hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories they don't want you to hear. Leave a comment below what do you think Netflix missed.
And I saw
your thoughts might just shape the next story we uncover.
There were very curious things taking place, and I didn't necessarily understand.